Most people think their retirement account is just sitting there, quietly growing. You contribute every month. Maybe your employer matches a portion. And over time, the balance goes up. Everything looks fine on your statement. But here's what your bank and brokerage aren't telling you. They're taking a cut of your money every single day. Not once a year, not once a quarter. Every single day. And by the time you retire, those small daily cuts could cost you $100,000 or more. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how this works, what it's actually costing you, and the specific steps you can take to stop the bleeding. Let's start with the biggest drain most people don't understand: expense ratios. When you invest in a mutual fund or ETF inside your 401k or IRA, the fund charges you a percentage of your total balance every year. This is called the expense ratio, and it's automatically deducted from your returns. You never see a line item on your statement. You never write a check. The money just quietly disappears. Now, a lot of people hear 1% and think, that's nothing. Let me show you what 1% actually looks like over a career. Say you're 30 years old. You invest $500 a month every month for 35 years. Your investments earn an average of 8% per year before fees. With a 0.03% expense ratio, like a basic S&P 500 index fund, your portfolio grows to approximately $1,033,000. With a 0.5% expense ratio, a fairly common actively managed fund, you end up with about $920,000. And with a 1% expense ratio, still very common in many 401k plans, you end up with roughly $815,000. That's a difference of $218,000 between the cheapest and most expensive option. Same contributions, same market returns. The only difference is what the fund company takes from you. And that $218,000 didn't go to better performance. Study after study shows that higher fee funds actually underperform lower fee funds over time. But expense ratios are just the first layer. Many people also pay an advisory fee on top of the fund fees. Here's how it typically works. You walk into a bank branch or sit down with a financial advisor. They help you set up your IRA or roll over your 401k. What they often don't emphasize is that they're charging you 1% per year of your total account balance, on top of the expense ratios of the funds they put you in. So now you're paying maybe 0.75% for the funds, plus 1% for the advisor. That's 1.75% total. On a $500,000 account, that's $8,750 per year, every year. And here's the part that really matters. The advisor fee doesn't scale down as your account grows. When you had $100,000, you were paying $1,000 a year. Fine, but when you have $800,000, you're paying $8,000 a year for essentially the same service. The work didn't increase 8 times. Your bill did. Over a 30-year relationship with a 1% advisory fee, the total amount you'll pay in advisory fees alone can easily exceed $150,000 to $200,000. That's a house. That's 5 years of retirement spending, and it was taken from you so quietly that you probably never even noticed. Here's one that's gotten a lot of attention recently, and for good reason. It's called the cash sweep. When you have uninvested cash sitting in your brokerage account, maybe from a dividend payment, a deposit you haven't invested yet, or cash you're holding intentionally, your brokerage sweeps that money into a cash position. In many cases, your brokerage takes that cash and lends it out, or deposits it with partner banks. They might earn 4 to 5% on your money. But what do they pay you? Often 0.01% to 0.35%. Let's say you have $50,000 sitting in cash in your account. Your brokerage earns roughly $2,250 per year on that money. They pay you about $175. They keep the $2,075 difference. Now multiply that across millions of customers. This is how brokerages like Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, and others generate billions in revenue every year. And it all comes from the gap between what they earn on your cash and what they pay you. The fix is straightforward. Move uninvested cash into a money market fund or a high-yield savings account where you earn a competitive rate. Many brokerages now offer money market options paying 4% or more. You just have to actively move your money there. They won't do it for you. Now let's talk about one that's nearly invisible: the plan administration fee. Inside your 401k. Your employer's 401k plan has a plan administrator, a company like Fidelity, Empower, or Principal. That administrator charges fees to run the plan, and those fees are often passed through to you, the employee. There are typically three layers of cost in a 401k. First, the fund expense ratios we already discussed. Second, the plan administration fee. This covers record keeping, compliance, and customer service. And third, there may be individual service fees for things like taking a loan from your 401k or processing a hardship withdrawal. Here's the thing most people don't realize: smaller companies tend to have much more expensive 401k plans. If you work for a company with 50 employees, your all-in cost might be 1.5 to 2% per year. A large company with 10,000 employees might negotiate that down to 0.3 to 0.5%. That means two people making the same salary and the same contributions can end up with dramatically different retirement balances, purely because of their employer's plan costs. You can request your plan's fee disclosure document. Your employer is legally required to provide this under ERISA regulations. It's called a 404A5 disclosure. Look at the total plan cost as a percentage of assets and compare the fund options available to you. If everything in your plan has an expense ratio above 0.5%, talk to your HR department. Plans can be renegotiated. Target date funds are the default investment option in most 401k plans. If you never logged in to choose your investments, your money is almost certainly in one. And they're not bad. In fact, they're a solid choice for someone who wants a hands-off approach. But they do come with a convenience premium. A Vanguard Target Retirement 2050 fund charges about 0.08% per year. A Fidelity Freedom 2050 fund charges about 0.68%. And a John Hancock or Principal Target Date fund inside a small employer plan can charge 0.8 to 1.2%. The difference between 0.08% and 0.8% on a $500 per month contribution over 30 years is about $95,000. For a fund that does essentially the same thing, holds a mix of stocks and bonds, and gradually shifts more conservative as you age. The lesson here isn't to avoid target date funds. It's to check which target date fund you're in and compare its expense ratio against available alternatives. Let's put all of this together and translate it into something that actually matters. Years of your life. Meet Sarah. She's 32 years old, earns $75,000, and contributes 10% to her 401k. Her employer matches 4%. That's $10,500 per year going into her retirement account. In a low-cost plan with index funds at 0.05% and no advisory fee, Sarah's account grows to approximately $1,480,000 by age 65. In a high-cost plan with fund fees of 0.8%, an advisory fee of 1%, and plan fees of 0.3%, Sarah's account grows to approximately $980,000 by age 65. That's a $500,000 difference. $500,000 gone to fees. If Sarah plans to spend $50,000 per year in retirement, that $500,000 represents 10 years of living expenses. 10 years of her retirement taken by fees she never consciously agreed to pay. Here's exactly what to do about all of this. 5 steps. Step 1. Audit your fees. Log into every retirement account you have. Look up the expense ratio of every fund. Check whether you're paying an advisory fee. Get your 401k fee disclosure. Write down the total cost. Step 2. Switch to low-cost index funds wherever possible. An S&P 500 index fund at 0.03% does the same job as an actively managed large-cap fund at 0.8%. Actually, it usually does a better job. Step 3. Move idle cash out of low-yield sweep accounts and into money market funds or high-yield savings. Step 4. If you're paying 1% for an advisor, ask yourself what you're getting. If it's just investment management, you can get that from a robo-advisor for 0.25%, or do it yourself for free. If they're providing comprehensive financial planning, tax strategy, and estate planning, that may be worth it. But know what you're paying for. Step 5. Consolidate old 401ks from previous employers into a single low-cost IRA. Every old account you leave behind is another set of fees working against you. Banks and brokerages aren't doing anything illegal. They're not even doing anything unusual. They're simply structured to profit from your inattention. And the system is designed to make fees as invisible as possible. The good news is that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you take action, the savings compound in your favor for the rest of your investing life. The difference between a 1.5% total cost and a 0.1% total cost isn't just a number on a page. It's the difference between retiring at 62 and retiring at 67. It's the difference between leaving something for your kids and just barely getting by. Take 30 minutes this weekend. Audit your accounts. Make the switches. Your future self will thank you. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing. I put out videos like this every week, breaking down the financial decisions that actually move the needle. Hit the like button if you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.